Namaskar and welcome to another 9 p.m. live. Hello, today is a very, very important 9 p.m. live. Today is very, very interesting 9 p.m. live. There are certain experts who say that Bharatiya Janata Party is coming back. Bharatiya Janata Party may get equal or more than what they got in 2019. Some experts say that. I've been talking to a lot of people, a lot of experts regarding numbers and how and where and all that. But this is one narrative. The second narrative is that no, by the looks of it, Bharatiya Janata Party is definitely not going to do as well as it had done in 2019. It's not going to do that well. In fact, NDA per se itself may not do that well the way it did in 2019. Second school of thoughts. Now, today I have a very important guest. Like I told you, today's episode is very interesting. I have a very important guest, and that is Yogendra Yadav. Mr. Yogendra Yadav has been somebody who, at least I believe, the person who introduced psephology to common Indians. It was his programs, his shows that from where we heard this concept of swing and how psephology works, how polls happen, how pollsters work, and all of that. So he is somebody who introduced psephology to India, and I wanted to ask him two things. First of all, what did he feel? What was his opinion, and what was his number that he predicted? That's first. Second thing I wanted to ask him is, is there any empirical tool? Is there any foolproof tool in India that can predict poll numbers, that can actually give us an idea? Direction, yes, but can an idea as to what kind of numbers do political party get? That's the episode today. That's my live today. Let's get right into the show and speak to Yogendra Yadav and find out more about Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Yadav. Thank you so much for joining us. It's actually an honor to talk to you. And specifically, I wanted, sir, to directly get into the questions. I know you're busy. I have 25 minutes and I would like to make the best of it. Sir, technically speaking, from an academic perspective, when you research in the same market, when you study the same market, when you analyze the same market, how can the derivatives of what your analysis are, how can they be different? That's the point I wanted to make, sir.
Well, to be fair, it is possible to be somewhat different because we are looking at, the market here is the public, which is about 100 crore voters. We are trying to estimate the mood of 100 crore voters. And from that to then generate estimates of seats to be won by different. So it is quite possible among two people who are doing honest research to arrive at somewhat different conclusions. But yes, the conclusions cannot be diametrically opposed. For example, when this election began, there was all that talk of 400 par. Now, whether BJP can do 400 par or not, there cannot be two opinions about it. The simple thing is that it was a hot air balloon. I mean, the fact is, if you sit with a piece of paper, pen and paper, and actually ask someone supporting the BJP, all right, show me a calculation of 400. Unless they say BJP is going to win 30 out of 26 seats in Gujarat, they can't possibly make it up to 400. So all that was a hot air. The idea whether BJP can substantially improve upon its performance of 2019 or would go down, ideally it should not have two different answers. So my own sense has been, when the election began, I thought it is possible to bring BJP below 272, but the opposition doesn't seem to be up to it. That was my sense. But as we came closer to elections, it was quite clear to me that BJP was going down. The only question was how much. And that's what I would still contend. I find it hard to believe if someone says BJP is going to add to its tally of 2019. If someone says it will come down by a little, not as much as you are saying, well, that's a legitimate dispute. I mean, I don't have an exact poll. I don't even have an exit poll. So yes, when I say that BJP can go down to something like 250, and someone else says no, it's more like 265, maybe 272. Well, these are possible differences. One should allow for that much difference in two readings. And mind you, it's not merely a reading about voting behavior, it's also a difference about how to translate votes into seats. So two pollsters can have exactly the same vote share figures and arrive at somewhat different seat projections. So that much we should allow for. But yes, the broad point is, can we actually go to ground, do research, do field work, and someone comes back to say BJP's Mr. Modi is more popular than last time, BJP is going up from last time, and someone else says BJP is going down. That should normally not happen unless they've gone to two different countries or two different
Absolutely.
geographies altogether. Yeah.
Absolutely correct. Mr. Yadav, my question is we also like to rationalize our analysis normally, more often than not. And the rationale comes from the fact that, listen, most of the states, BJP has maxed out. Now, what we are talking about is South. BJP going up in South to come out, somehow be better than what they've done before. Now, the rationale also is that a lot of states today show a dip in BJP's popularity. Now, these are rationale that has happened much before the analysis. Now, the fact is, sir, where does such figures come from? Therefore, where does such analysis come from? BJP doing more than 300 plus, South growing. On what basis?
Yeah. Well, to my mind, there is a grain of truth in it. And the grain of truth is this, that BJP appears to be improving its vote share in all those areas and states where it underperformed in 2019. And wherever it performed very well or was saturated, it is coming down. Now, it so happens that the second category is much bigger than the first category. And it also happens that BJP's gains of votes are unlikely to translate into big gains in terms of seats. In the South, take South, Kerala. What is the best case scenario for BJP? BJP's dream would be two seats, Thiruvananthapuram and Trichy.
Correct.
And if you said one, they would still be delighted. So we're speaking of one or two, 0, 1 or 2. That's the entire range that we are looking at. In Tamil Nadu, forget the hype. The fact is, BJP on its own, it's very hard because BJP doesn't have AIADMK with it. In the absence of AIADMK, for BJP, it would be very hard to open their account. Their allies may win, PMK may win, Tamil Maanila Congress may do well. BJP should once again be delighted with one or two seats. Although their vote share can go up substantially, it's definitely in the teens. So again, one or two. Add to it Puducherry as well. In Andhra Pradesh, BJP's vote share in the last parliamentary election was lower than Nota. So the only reason why BJP appears to be in the race is because its coalition partners, the TDP and the Janasena, have seemed to have done well. So they can pull the BJP up, and BJP can also pick up one or two seats thanks to the alliance. In Telangana, BJP BJP already had 4 seats. Because BRS has had a meltdown, much of BRS's minority votes will go to the Congress. And of BRS's majority votes, and specifically the BC votes, BJP can get a share. BJP would do a little better, maybe another couple of seats, 3 seats. But what does it all add up to? All of this adds up to at the most 10 seats, and also add to it Odisha. You know, so all this adds up to about 10 seats for the BJP. and about 20 seats for NDA, because the BJP's partners in Andhra Pradesh may have done reasonably well. Now, my point is very simple. If BJP has gained 10 seats in all these states of South and East, this gain of 10 would be wiped out simply by Karnataka. Karnataka alone, BJP would take a hit of at least 10 seats, and I'm speaking at least. So, where are the gains? So if you actually, in a sense, so in a manner of speaking, statistically speaking, you can think about the election of 2000, the outcome of 2024 by neutralizing the whole of South India, the whole of East India, the whole of Northeast. That is to say, because the meter there comes to zero. All the losses and gains cancel each other out. So then you simply have to focus on India that is beginning with Maharashtra and Gujarat and ending with Bihar. Now, the question you should be asking is, how much is BJP gaining or losing in these areas? It's a simple way of doing calculations. To say, okay, this much is neutralized, अब इसको बाहर रख दो, इसको कागज टेबल से उतार, अब टेबल पे फोकस सिर्फ उसको रखो जहां चेंज हो सके. Now you tell me, from Gujarat, Maharashtra up to Bihar, how much can the BJP gain? Zero. They can't possibly gain, because
Correct.
you have 26 out of 26 in Gujarat, 25 of 25 in Rajasthan. You have maxed everywhere, except in UP, where BJP, technically speaking, had not maxed. They were 64 out of 80, which still is very, very high, but not maxed. Now, what's likely to happen? Now, my sense is, if you look at Rajasthan, anyone, speak to anyone who knows anything about Rajasthan, the fact is that in BJP's vote share, which used to go up in the parliamentary elections, simply have not this time. This time, it has been fought more like a assembly election, seat to seat, where in one belt, north and eastern belt of Rajasthan, BJP has done very poorly. At least I would say 7, 8, 10, people would say 12. I would say, all right, just only 8 to begin with. And in Gujarat too, BJP has lost votes. However, the buffer that the BJP has in Gujarat is so big that the loss of those maybe 5% vote wouldn't make much of a difference to the BJP. So they would probably lose just about 2 seats. Put Gujarat and Rajasthan together, you're looking at a block of about 10 seats, which BJP loses. Maharashtra. My sense is that in the battle of the Shiv Senas, Uddhav Thackeray has trumped unambiguously.
Absolutely.
He is the Shiv Sena. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely. And so clearly, Shinde would take a big hit. Similarly, people of Maharashtra are not here to write off Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar is here to stay. And because of these things, the India coalition has an upper. And to my mind, they could cause a loss of 20 seats. Remember, NDA has 41 plus 1, 42 seats out of 48. They can be brought down to 22, especially after Mumbai appears to have given a decisive verdict against the BJP this time. So that looks like 22 out of 42 for NDA. So that's another 20 seats loss. Come to my home state, Haryana, which seems to be having an anti-BJP wave right now. Haryana, this election appears to be a curtain raiser for the assembly election. And Congress, which initially looked like starting with just about 2 seats, they clearly are picking up something like 6 seats in Haryana. Add to it a couple of seats from Delhi, 1 seat from Ladakh, 1 seat from Himachal, and you're looking at another block of 10 seats that BJP would lose. So now remember, 10 from Rajasthan, Gujarat, 20 from Maharashtra, 10 from this block that I've identified, the northern block, Haryana, Delhi, and everything. We're looking at loss of 40 seats. Another loss of 10 seats from Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand put together, because the losses here would be small, unlike Rajasthan. So another 10 seats, that makes it 50. And then you're looking at Bihar and UP. My sense is put together in both these states, BJP loses about 25 seats. Now, that's something people find difficult to gulp. Can be, because BJP was initially hoping to increase its tally in UP. Bihar, they can't increase because they had everything. They were planning, they thought they could improve. But when you look at the actual trends coming from the ground, the manner in which the election is proceeded, and especially after Rahul and Akhilesh have started their joint rallies, things are really turning the way of Samajwadi Party Congress. So 15 seats loss, 10 seats loss in UP and 15 seats in Bihar is what I'm looking at. Now, all that gives you a loss of something like 75 seats. This is NDA loss, 75 to 80 seats. Now, offset it against the gains that we earlier spoke about. Earlier gains were offset, but NDA gains another 10 seats, which were from Andhra Pradesh. So you're down to about 70, 80 odd seats loss to the NDA, and about 60 odd seats loss, 50 to 60 seats lost to the BJP. That's my commonsensical. This is not, I don't have a exit poll with me. I don't have any of these precise scientific measurement instruments, but this is electoral common sense. Someone has to give me ground evidence to say why they disagree with this in a big way.
So, therefore, sir, are you saying 260, 250, 260? Because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, so I'm saying BJP something in the range of 240 to 250, maybe closer to 250. Or the basic statement that I'm making, the precision that I have available to me, which is not so precise, enables me to make some minimal statements. Number one, I do not see BJP getting 272. If BJP gets 272, I'm wrong. Yeah, that's my sense. BJP is not getting 272. Whether NDA can get 272, we can't rule that out. It is possible. So in other words, we are looking at BJP and NDA coming down substantially. But we cannot be quite sure of how much they can come down to. Can the NDA itself slip below 272? That is possible. You can't rule that out, though it may not look like the most likely outcome.
Mr. Yadav, I want to ask you an academic question once again. Is there any empirical tool that actually helps you to give a near perfect analysis, near perfect numbers? Anyways.
Well, the tool is doing a proper random sample poll. Unfortunately, most of the surveys that are being done in our country, they are not random samples based surveys at all. In fact, you would be shocked. So was I, because most of these opinion polls that were conducted before the elections, and many of them said BJP and allies going to 370. Thankfully, no one said 400. But some of them came close to saying 400, 370 plus, and so on. What was it based on? These are purely telephone-based surveys. Now, how can you have a truly randomized picture of this country where the bottom 20% still do not have access to telephony? In a country where you do not have a truly randomized list of telephone numbers, and where people are not comfortable answering the most intimate questions on telephone. So I would assume that all these things have big bias. And when people conduct polls on the ground, even then, so one is the telephonic bias, but those who do face-to-face survey, most of them land up in a bus stand, do things close to the bus stand, go to some area, come back, collect a few interviews and come back. But that's not random. Of all the institutions or agencies that are doing surveys, I know only of the CSDS, a team which I was a proud member of once upon a time, which insists upon doing a random sample, which is to say they pick up so they pick up constituencies purely on the basis of their past profile and representativeness. Within the constituency, they pick up polling booths pure through lottery. That could be in the most inaccessible area, but then they will go there. And then once a booth is selected, they take out the voters list of that particular booth and then randomly pick up names from that. And then ask their investigators, I'm giving you now a list, go and meet the following person, and then go to this house, and then go to that house. This is random sampling. No one does it. That's the problem. So one is pure, solid random sample-based surveys. And second, it's conversion into seats through careful statistical modeling. These are the two things which are done all over the world. And while a lot of rationalization is done post facto when people don't get it right, to say, oh my God, Indian people don't tell you the truth and things of that kind. But that's simply not true. The real problem is that most pollsters do not genuinely do random sample. Most of them do not interview sufficient number of women. Most of them do not go to the poorest of poor. Most of them undersample the most backward caste and scheduled tribe. That, to my mind, is the real reason why polls are wrong. But in terms of theoretically, what is the best methodology? That is the best.
Dr. Roy and you introduced India to psephology. A common man came to know that there is a concept of psephology thanks to your programs in NDTV those days. So let me ask you this question. You see, are pollsters now part of a political party's narrative? Are they like one more, like you have a PR agency, advertising agency? Is pollster also part of that team?
So one correction, actually, is Dr. Roy introduced pollstering, not me. I came much later. In fact, I was inspired by, I learned from him. There was a pollster even before him, EPWD Costa, who did that in late 60s, early 70s, but it was not a very successful experiment. When Dr. Roy, David Butler, and Ashok Lahiri, they came in the early 80s and they partnered with India Today and with MAR, as it was then, an agency. They truly revolutionized Indian polling. Because I got to conduct the first televised exit poll. Therefore, people somehow credit me as being part of the first team, the original ones. But I'm actually not I'm at least a decade younger than those who started it. But more importantly, your substantive question. Your substantive question, I think something very strange is happening. But then it's not just about pollstering, it's also about the media in general. The entire Indian mainstream media is BJP's election partner. Now you have these days that thing. Various events are organized, and in those
official
events,
sponsors,
media partners, this. So honestly, BJP could put on its billboard media partners, all the Noida channels. So this is happening. Number one, so I call them not those who call themselves national media. I in fact often say they are notional media. Notionally they are media. Basically, they are partners of the ruling party. So that's the general landscape. Specifically about pollstering, I feel sad that in the last, because I've watched it right from the beginning in India and I've studied its history. Normally, you expect an industry to grow when the industry expands. Normally, you expect standards to go up. Unfortunately, in pollstering, that hasn't happened. As the industry has grown, there are many rogue elements, which is to be expected. Every industry has rogue elements that they enter. Low quality product also comes in. That's the usual stuff in any industry. But what is surprising is that the average quality actually hasn't gone up. Technology has gone up. All of them are using tablets now instead of the hand-filled questionnaires. They are doing geographic coding and all that stuff is happening. So it's all techno-savvy. But the basic thing of getting a poll, which would actually capture the sentiment of the people, that simply hasn't improved. And the capacity of the polls to forecast the election hasn't improved. That surprises me and that pains me. And one of the reasons for that is what you mentioned, namely, there's such enormous pressure and incentive. So it's both carrot and stick are at work in ensuring that at least the pre-election polling is very much part of election campaign. You use surveys to actually bolster your image. And unfortunately, media being in the sorry state that it has been unable to pick and to at least create some gold standards. Everywhere in the world you have rogue pollsters, but then there are some gold standards. Gallup somewhere, something else anywhere, somewhere else, and everyone looks up to those polls. In India, CSDS Lokniti had come close to doing that, but that was not followed up. I was hoping that you would have at least 4 or 5 agencies in this country who would have such good track record that they would become gold standards, and then everyone else would be eliminated. In recent years, Access My India has done much better in terms of their forecast. But pre-election forecasting is still very much a rogue's market, where you get very low quality products. And basically, these are more instruments of propaganda than instruments of polling.
I want to ask you another question. I've got 4 more minutes of your time, sir. So one more question I want to squeeze in. In fact, if possible, two, but one at least. You see, when you talk about political coalition, you talk about political coalition primarily for two reasons. Either there's an ideological match, or there is a need. There is a need-based coalition. Now, a new concept has crept in, actually, not come in, crept in. That would be fear. So coalition happens because of fear, coalition happens because of need, coalition happens because of ideology. Now, if you look at India coalition, it's more of need. And obviously, if you look at NDA coalition, it is more of fear. My question, Mr. Yadav, is fear a sustainable coalition model?
I mean, let's not even call it a coalition. When you coerce someone into being with your party, when you tell someone either come with us or there's ED waiting for you. So that's hardly a coalition. And the record of BJP, especially post Atal Bihari Vajpayee BJP, is that coalitions are formed in order to destroy the coalition partner and to absorb. So basically, these are absorption techniques. You have a coalition with MGP. Gradually, in Goa, MGP disappears. You have a coalition with Shiv Sena, as you would now discover. Shinde Shiv Sena will disappear very soon. This is what's happening to JDU in Bihar. Basically, BJP is about to appropriate JDU. And that's the problem. In Atal Bihari Vajpayee's BJP, coalition partners were sure of their existence. That my distinctiveness will be respected. In BJP's coalition, Mr. Modi's BJP, no coalition partner feels secure, respected, or valued. So these are unsustainable coalitions anyway. And then there's an additional element of coercion which is coming in. So clearly, I think we should find a different word for it. Coalition is a wrong word in any case to describe what it is. This is a forced marriage. What do you call? In the Hindu tradition, this was called the Gandharva Vivah. When you abduct a woman and you marry her, it's that kind of.
My last question, sir. My last question. And is there a logical reason for this low voter turnout?
Number one, the turnout is not as low as it appeared to begin with. It's down by about 3% overall. 2 to 3%. And to my mind, it's nothing but coming down of the very high mark, artificially high levels achieved in 2019. 2019, both 2014 and 19 elections were held in a very unusual circumstance. There was a euphoria in 2014, and there was a kind of national jingoism of sorts going on in 2019. All this tends to inflate the turnout artificially. People who would normally not vote, even they felt impelled. Desh ke vaste, is baar to dena. All that has come down. So we are not looking at very low turnout in this election. Turnout is reasonable, uh, healthy, and given the very bad weather conditions, I think it's all right. We're not doing too bad.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us, and wish you all the best and hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Stay ahead with our cutting edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.